Started.
Great. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting of Thursday, May 26, 2022, called to order at 1:01 p.m. I'll go ahead and do roll call. Terry Majewski is here. Carol Griffith.
Here.
Jen Mulder.
Here.
Savannah McDonald. Oh, okay. You back on, Savannah?
She's on.
Yeah. And I'm gonna mark you, Savannah, as you're here. And Ricky Riojas.
Here.
Great, thank you. Not in attendance is Commissioner Ireland, and but we do have a quorum with 5. So item 2 is approval of the legal action report / minutes for the meeting of May 12th, 2022. Could I have a motion to approve, please?
I move that we approve.
Thank you. And who will second?
This is Ricky. I'll second.
Great, thank you. Is there discussion?
Yeah, this is Jan. I didn't pipe in soon enough, but we should probably approve them with the removal of the remnant comment on page 5 under 6A.
Gosh, okay. Michael, does that need us to modify the motion, or can you just clean that up?
I will clean it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And we did email about that. I'm sorry I didn't bring that up. I should have. Okay, so I'll go ahead and call roll. And Terry says aye. Carol?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
And Ricky?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0. Item 3 is historic preservation zone review cases that we review under UDC section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0.0 / historic district design guidelines / revised Secretary of the Interior standards and guidelines. Case 3A is a courtesy review of at 165 West Alameda Street. And this is El Presidio Clement Fountain. It's for restoration of the fountain. This is a courtesy review. Staff, do you want to give us some background, please?
Sure. Last year or the year before, it all kind of blends together. My apologies. With the pandemic, this property, this fountain kind of came forward. A DOE, a determination of eligibility, was submitted on the fountain, and SHPO determined that the property was eligible. The city started working on a historic landmark designation for it, but who owned the property and who was going to take care of the maintenance on the property was kind of going back and forth, because there was some question at the time who owned it, whether it was the city or whether it was the county, because in that plaza area, it's all kind of muddled a little bit. So the historic landmark designation was put on hold for that. In the meantime, they've moved forward for restoration. The city has moved forward for restoration of the property and hired a firm to evaluate it and do up plans for the restoration. Staff has reviewed those plans and made comments along the way about the restoration, and found out some interesting things about the fountain, that like the tile in the basin that's actually not original. But the designation for it is still currently on hold. Terry did ask a question about renaming of it. There was a motion, and I couldn't find the paperwork, but there was a motion by the commission to support renaming it to the Richard Elias Fountain. And there was discussion at council to rename it the Richard Elias Fountain, but we weren't able to find documentation that actually happened. There's, as you well know, a process to go through for renaming properties. They just recently did it for the Linda Ronstadt Music Hall that it went through. So I don't think that it's actually gone through the whole process to rename it the Richard Elias Fountain. officially. But today, Arthur Stables, who some of you know, who used to be on the commission, and Robin Schambach, I think, are here to present the project.
Okay, I have a question though. So would it be appropriate in our motion, or we're not giving a motion, but because it's a courtesy review, but just to state that we would like that followed up on? I mean, it was a pretty big deal, pretty big discussion.
Yeah, I mean, you can just ask, we'll follow up on it to figure out what actually happened with it. And you can't actually take a motion because this is a no action item.
That's what I just said. It was a courtesy review, so there'll be no motion.
Yeah, we can follow up on it.
Okay, all right. So before we get going, let me just ask who these people are. Michael, do you know who all these names are that I don't know, like Israel Navarrete?
I have Israel here. There's another name, Reba. I don't have the last name. There's another name, Dania. I don't have the last name. So can those people identify themselves?
Yes, good. Yes. Reba?
I have a Reba, R-E-B-A. I don't know.
This is Robert Moreno. We are with the agenda item for 414 West 18th Street. My group includes Daniel Tapia, T-A-P-I-A, Hector R. Gomez, and I believe Jose is with Hector, or Jose Gonzalez, which has a J in our icon.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and Reba, do you know who Reba is? I'm sorry.
Reba is a city personnel. She is here for item 3A. Reba, S-C-H Shearer. How do you say your last name, Reba?
Schaber. S-C-H-A-B-E-R. I'm with the Environmental General Services Department and with the Architectural and Engineering Office. So I'm the project manager that is overseeing BWS, who has done the design for the fountain.
Okay,
Thanks.
so it's S-C-H-A-B-E-R for your last name?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm sorry, but it's hard when only your first names come up. So, okay, so go ahead, Arthur. Are you going to tell us about the project? Arthur, are you there? I guess not. There he is.
I'm here.
Hi, Arthur.
Hey, is my microphone working?
Yeah, if you could turn it up just a little bit, might be good.
Let me see if I can do that. I'm not used to this. Yeah,
Okay.
I have to confess that I shooched over to the library with all my stuff first,
Oh,
not even considering that you'd actually all be online. I will just speak up. So we were hired by the city to restore the Clement Robert Lugo or Michael Lugo fountain at El Presidio Plaza. Part of the scope, aside from repairing and replacing finishes as need be, making it fully operational again with all new equipment, was to transfer utility services from the county to the city. So we will be moving our electrical service to a different panel, and our water service will come off a city line instead of a Pima County line. Our team consists of a civil engineer to do those utility relocations, a structural engineer to help us engineer the removal and replacement of the decorative blocks, an electrical engineer to do the utility location for the electric, and then a pool fountain specialist company, Aqua Design, that is designing all the waterworks for the fountain. We are in the midst of finishing our 90% construction documents, which will be submitted to the city this Friday, and that'll be reviewed again by a group of people, and then we'll complete the documents. Construction will be handled by a job order contractor that is hired by the city, and they are already online helping us with some various odds and ends. For those who don't know, can I share my screen?
yes, please. Please,
Okay.
I was going to just ask you that.
Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. I was unprepared for online, so I apologize because I had my boards. But this is the fountain, if you're familiar with it. It sits in the El Presidio Plaza behind the old courthouse and next to Pima County administration buildings and City Hall. This is a picture from its better days when it was still somewhat operational, but it shows us pretty much the elements of the fountain. If you can see my mouse, there's two vaults that hold equipment, one to the right behind the sago and another one to the left behind the sago palm. Those house all the pumps and valves and whatnot. The columnar structure in the middle, there are 3 columns coming off a plinth in the middle of the fountain. Water will come out of the top of all 3 columns. There's a basin here where water will trickle out, as well as some kind of architectural feature called the flame, which is a red light with a reflector. And we don't know really how it works because I don't think anyone has seen it, but we are trying to rebuild it. So eventually it will have water coming out of it and a red light at some points. We're not quite sure how it's supposed to work because it's not described very clearly anywhere. There are also, the basin is cast in place. There's about an 18-inch water level in the basin. And then there are 4 spray rings at the bottom of the basin. They are perforated circles that spray water at some points up as high as 5 feet in the air. The whole thing is cast in place concrete. It is incised on many surfaces with biomorphic images that represent flora, fauna, people, and things in the desert and related to water. These were all formed with styrofoam forms that were cut out and formed by the artist and his architectural collaborator, and then cast into the concrete. The big design feature on the fountain is these decorative blocks that are placed on 2 arms that project from the central columns. And there are approximately 10 of those things, and they are all incised with various patterns, colors of glass tile, and other, again, more biomorphic images from the desert and flora and fauna. And our goal is to restore the fountain so that it doesn't leak. It's been an ongoing problem for many years, and also so that it's operational. I'm going to unshare my screen. And the existing fountain, as Jody said, has 2 layers of tile. There was the original layer, and then somebody at some point came in and put another layer on top of it. It's a larger tile module and it's a different color. We believe that the existing tile was a blue tile, and it's hard to see here, I'm sorry, but I think I've matched it. And that tile is this. It's a
because you have your background blocking on, we can't see what you're
holding. Oh, that's what it is. Well, this is all new to me on Zoom. We use Teams and stuff. Blur my background, choose no background. Can I do no background? None. Okay. So this is the tile that we think is appropriate. The original tile was a 4x4 module. This is a 6x6, but I sort of prefer this size. It's the size of the second layer that was installed because it will have less joints. But color-wise, it seems to be appropriate, and it is a swimming pool tile. It's frost-proof and waterproof and all that good stuff. So all the tile would be stripped off the interior of the pool, waterproofing applied, and then new tile set on the walls and floor.
Arthur, can you show that picture you said from the
Sure.
original? Because we didn't see that because of your background.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So this is the original, what I've managed to see. It's most of the tile is still in place, so I can't see but little bits, but you can start to see the tone of the color.
Okay.
And so that's why I thought this was, and this is a very standard tile that's been in use for many, many years.
Great, thank you.
So I'll share screen again. So the decorative blocks will be removed. Many of them are spalling and damaged concrete. There's chunks falling off. So they will be removed and taken to a shop to be restored. And that will involve patching and replacing concrete, repair of tile. And I'm going to stop sharing again for a second. The decorative blocks are covered in glass tile. It's Italian. There are multiple colors and shapes. The nephew of the original artist and his niece have a huge cache of it. Apparently it's like a garage full. I only have 2 bags of it right now, but the intent of the drawings, if you've seen them, you'll see all the tile blocks or the decorative blocks have been numbered. They will be then, I will go through and try to allocate the colors of tile that should be used for repair or replacement on each decorative block. That's my next major task. We have engaged or are trying to engage a specialty concrete contractor who will help us experiment doing mock-ups for patching and repair of the existing concrete, as well as cleaning of all the incised patterns, patching of skateboard grinds and such like that. We are also working to find a tile specialist that can help us clean and repair tile as needed. Some of the tile, most of it's in place, but a lot of it is so calcinated that you can't even tell what color it is anymore. So that's one of our other projects, is to clean that tile to restore it to its original appearance. I had reached out to a couple of tile specialists that were recommended to me for historic renovation work, but one is no longer working and the other never responded to phone calls or emails. So all things given, our documents are probably complete in a month and construction would probably start sometime this summer. That's mainly what I have to tell you. I'm happy to take questions or comments.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. I have a question for Jody. So there will be no formal review of this. It's simply a courtesy review only, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
And I would say, Terry, that Jody has been very helpful. She's reviewed the documents and made a number of good comments. So it's not just parading along by itself.
Okay, Jody, what were your comments to improve the plan?
I have to say it's been a little while since I looked at them, but there were questions about the material that they were using to kind of put concrete pieces back together, the concrete finish and materials they were going to use. They're putting on, I forget the technical term for them, but they're like skateboard stops.
Yes, and I've reduced the size of those, Jody.
Okay.
So they're not near as obtrusive as they were.
Yeah, they were pretty big before, so I had some concern about those.
Yeah.
We've kind of gone back and forth about water spilling out of certain places. Just general comments about the rehabilitation of the fountain.
One thing I can report to the group is that with our contractor, we have had all the existing piping and drainage systems tested. Everything seems to be functional. The piping is still intact. They don't appear to be leaks. So if all goes well, all of the original operating fountain parts will be spewing water again when we're done.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, it should be really, I mean, because I don't remember ever seeing the whole thing running, because it's probably been 12 or 15 years.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, commissioners, who would like to start with questions or comments?
This is Ricky. I did have a question about the tile. So the part that's leaking, then it's just the joins in the tile that are currently causing the leaks. Is that?
We don't know that. It's the thing is 50 years old. It's on over the parking garage of Pima County, and so it's not been maintained well. So who knows where the leaks are, but so we'll strip it down to the raw concrete again, clean all of that really well. And then I have a positive pool waterproofing. I'm using a very strong mortar that's also waterproof, and then the same for the tile grout. So we will do everything possible to make sure that it does not leak in the future.
Okay. And then that company you were talking about, the experimental cement company, you don't have one yet. You're just looking.
No, we
for
do.
one?
We're in negotiations to hire them, so they can help us with mock-ups and early processes and modes of operation for the work. It's somebody named Porter Construction out of Phoenix. They were recommended to us by another specialty contractor that we've used in the past.
Okay. And Arthur, you said Porter with a P, Porter Construction?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're in negotiations with them. We're trying to get them onto the project before we start construction so that we can use them to help us work through some of our processes.
Great, thank you. Vicky, do you have anything else?
Not right now.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? Jan?
Sure. I guess I don't have any huge questions at this point. It's thrilling to see it moving forward. I think when you saw this before, there was some question of whether it was going to be preserved or would be able to be. So it's exciting to see. The one question I have is really of Jody of the 6-inch versus 4-inch tiles, and if you and Arthur discussed that and your comfort level with that.
We haven't discussed it.
We have not discussed it. The existing tile that's down there, the original tile that's down there, is really damaged. They scored that tile in order to make the second layer stick. So it's not like you can reuse that.
Right.
I understand the reasoning for wanting to do the larger tile because it's, going to create a, less
pure,
less leak issues. And that's been a huge problem. And that was part of the reason that this whole thing came up too, was the leak that was created because it wasn't, as I understand it, built that well.
Right.
They were built as two separate parts. So instead of building the garage to take into account the weight and all the water issues, they were built as two separate parts. So I get the hesitancy to, have smaller tile. I think it's more important for, a consistent color in there for sure. And the fact that the tile has been the larger tile for quite some time, I don't think it's not going to make it not eligible or anything like that.
Right.
And I think we have documentation of the smaller tile. I think it's just a little bit more practical. I think your bigger ticket items, so to speak, are really the portions that come up and raise up, and where the water is coming down, and the glass that's associated with that, and the tile that's associated with that. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it.
No, I appreciate it. I just wanted to kind of hear the conversation and your input on that. So I don't really have any other questions. Thank you very much.
Just a comment on the garage. One thing we're not fighting, but having to deal with is the weight of any equipment that we bring onto the plaza deck. Has to be verified and understood that it meets certain criteria. You know that Tucson Meet Yourself is no longer there because it was determined that structurally the plaza deck should not be supporting all that weight. That's why it moved off. And like if we get a lift or a forklift, we have to verify its weight and point loads and make sure that it's acceptable to bring onto that plaza. So that's been a little bit of a constraint, but it's considered.
Yeah, thank you for that care with that, Arthur.
Yep. Well, and talk to the county about that because they have their own opinion,
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Savannah or Carol, do you have anything?
Mine was about the 6-inch tile. It seemed to me that it made more sense to match if it was 4x4, but if everyone's good with it and thinks it's an improvement, I'm good with that too.
Well, and two, this is a local tile, which was one of my interests. And it seems that the 4x4 modules are not as prevalent any longer, because I did some looking around, but this was a local tile available here in town. So I thought that was sort of preferable as well.
Yeah. And then all the mosaics you're talking about, though, you have like original drawings and can like match it all up?
Oh, no.
Oh.
No, this is me going out there with my bags of tile and seeing if I can match it.
Oh, okay.
Seriously.
But do you have original drawings? I mean, do you have the layout of the tile or anything?
No, I have, that's why all the little drawings have photographs of, those are all the surfaces that have tile on them. And so then, and I don't think other people are probably as capable as I am, whatever that is, to match them. So the idea is to minimize having to actually replace them and be able to clean them and return them, but we're not quite sure how far that goes yet.
Got it. But there's enough there, even if it's in disrepair, that you can, you have a picture of what it's at. There's no
I think
gaps
we
of
can
information.
do it. Not really, but there are no drawings. We have one sheet of drawings.
Wow.
Thanks, Arthur.
Sure.
All right. Carol?
I don't have anything in additional or any additional questions. And I kind of support, using the larger tile, having dealt with some fountains myself, the leaking is a real problem. So as long as the color is close and it looks really close, I think that's great.
Yeah. And I would assure you too, there is a lot of pressure to have this completed. So it is going to continue and get built.
Great. And commissioners, just to follow up, I think in the notes, I just want to say that we'll mention that if you're all in agreement, that Jody follow up on where the renaming process stands for the fountain. And if I understand, Arthur, Clement's name is somewhere on the fountain, right?
I don't know that.
I thought I saw it.
Well, you may have. I've tried to read through the nominations, but they go in such detail with all these decorative panels that your mind sort of goes away after a while.
Yeah.
Clement's name is on the fountain.
Okay.
It's embossed in the, if that's the right word, it's embossed in the concrete.
Okay.
Incised, I think, yeah.
You'll have to show me where that is at some point.
Yeah. So, Clements will still be associated with it, but then, whatever other steps would have to be taken if it were renamed, because you'd have to change it on the DOE, wouldn't you? Or some update to SHPO? Jody?
Potentially. I mean, like I said before, you have working names and then the historic names. So it would probably just be some kind of email or acknowledgement to them that the name has been changed officially. But historically, it would still potentially go by the Clement Fountain or the El Presidio Fountain.
But it would be nice if it were somehow people knew to talk about both things when they were, explaining it. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that fountain was part of a sort of a modern insertion into that plaza in the early 70s. There was 3 fountains designed, and this one was built, and the one up by the northwest elevator tower was built with sort of the lily leaves sticking out and stuff. It's not functional. And then all those circular concrete planters, they were all part of the same development. So, and I don't think anybody realizes that anymore, because with the new memorial, a lot of those circular planters are gone now. So it would be interesting if this could be told as part of that whole story, but that's another project.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just had a question. One more. Sorry.
Go ahead.
About those tiles that you're attempting to match for the artwork on some disrepair. Have you seen all of the leftover tiles, or they're just saying that they have garages full?
I have seen pictures of them, and they have a scat of it.
Oh, okay. So it's like, it's not going to be an issue of running out at all?
Oh, no, I don't think so. No, because there's really, there's probably a couple hundred square feet of tile on all those blocks. And I've got 2 bags here that probably have 20 or 30 square feet in them. So I think we're going to be just fine. And like I say, I hope to not replace tons of it. I'd rather just be able to clean it up, you know, leave it in place.
But you have the option if you need it.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you for the presentation.
Sure.
And,
I'm sorry I was sort of scattered, but.
Oh, no, that's okay. Anything else, anyone? Or are you good for us to move on? Okay. Thank you, Arthur.
Bye-bye. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we'll go on to item 3B then, which is HPZ 22009 at 414 West 18th Street. And it's a master bedroom addition, restucco exterior, replace windows, full review in the Barrio Historic Preservation Zone. It is a contributing resource and we should be considering the rehabilitation standards. Well, staff, please give us background and then let us know who's here to present.
Sure. So this property is, as you mentioned, located in the Barrio Historic Zone. It went a few times to the Barrio Advisory Board for review. The first time that they went, it was determined that the plans were not consistent with what was on site. And so they had another meeting to actually go out on site to see the property. Unfortunately, in between the meetings, some of the adobe walls and frame walls on the rear of the house had been removed. So the applicant had to resubmit plans to address the wall removal. And they came back on the 21st and then ultimately on May 9th, where the project was approved with a vote of 4-0 by, it's a small board, 4-0 was approved. So they had one condition that the cricket that's going to go between the new portion and the existing portion is not visible from either 18th Street or Main Street. But otherwise it was approved. And I believe in the past, Jose Gonzalez was the presenter, but Robert, you may want to clarify if he's going to present the project.
Yeah, Jose's on the call. He's he's the one that helped us draft the plan, so he's better suited as far as to talk about the material in the project. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like for him to present.
Yeah, and Jose, I will say that this board has not seen your project, so you'll want to start from the beginning explaining the whole concept.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Will you share your screen?
Yes, absolutely. Let me see.
Okay, Jody, let me ask you while Jose is doing that, was this a zoning violation then because they removed the adobe walls?
We went back and forth with code enforcement on this because they were already in the permitting process and had plans in. It wasn't a zoning violation. This would be something that would potentially be addressed by some of the code changes that we're talking about now, though.
No, it's just curious to me after the review process has started and they knew it wasn't complete that was done, but that's just a curiosity on my part, I guess.
And I can speak towards that. We bought this property. Honestly, it was a part of a bulk of properties that we purchased. This was the only one in the historic area itself. A lot of the stuff that we inherited was already demoed. We did send somebody out there to clean the property because the neighbors were complaining about debris, roof falling, etc. One of the contractors that we used, he did take down. I believe it was a small mural or a small column. I'm not sure what it was for Adobe, but we do plan to reintroduce that. We have hired a gentleman called Daniel Pena. He works a lot in that area with Adobe in those historic committees. So we are going to reintroduce that. But the part that we actually took down was minimal compared to the other stuff that was already taken down when we purchased the property. So a lot of it was already done before we got there.
Okay, go ahead and present then in a succinct way and we'll ask questions.
Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So just so we can have a bearing of where we're at. We're at 18th Street and Main. This right here is the front facade of the dwelling. Basically going to remain the same. So if we look at the existing site plan, as Jody explained and as Roberto explained, there was some demolition that occurred, and the only existing structure right now is the adobe structure in framing, which was the previous living and one of the bedrooms of the old dwelling that existed in that site. As we could see here on this demo plan, the dashed lines were part of the elements that were demolished in that time frame. And we are proposing an addition, basically preserving that existing adobe structure while providing a similar layout to the previous dwelling. So basically the previous dwelling had a similar layout to what we're proposing in terms of where, you walk through the living room, proceed to the kitchen. However, before all these spaces were a little bit more enclosed and not as open as in this floor plan. In terms of our previous conversations in our historic board meetings, we are intending to preserve all the same opening proportions as I mentioned in the front facade. We're going to keep that 3040 opening and also introduce that opening in the new addition on both the west and east facades. In terms of distinguishing the old and the new, the existing adobe structure is juxtaposed as the new structure for the addition is inset on both the east and the west side. So as you can see in the floor plan, we are coming in about a foot on each side, just so we can, have that relief of and showing what was old and what is new. In terms of the roof structure, the roof consists of a shed roof with a really minor slope of 1/4 of an inch per foot. On this front facade, speaking about preserving stucco, we're intending to preserve this swirl stucco. The contractor will patch and repair as necessary and match the existing composition and texture as closely as possible. And at the new addition, we are proposing to stucco over, if you can see on the plan, we are intending to construct this out of CMU and then stucco over that CMU with the sand floated stucco painted white. So all in all, the idea is to keep what is existing there and just keep the addition simple and appropriate to the existing adobe structure and all of its surrounding context. So one of the conditions that we had was right at this point where we meet with the new and the old structure was with the roof. How are we going to deal with that water not ponding there? And so the idea is to have some sort of cant strip or cricket right at the middle, diverting that water towards the east and west, going towards, that cant strip could probably start at 2 inches going to nothing, which will be, slightly minimal, which I think will be, I don't think it'll be visible from the street. And that's basically all of it. Thank you.
Could I ask you about the drainage?
Yes.
Tell us about the drainage and how the water will be moved away from the structure.
Okay, so before, previously, if we look at these elevations on the right, the house had a continuous roof. So it was a continuous sheet flow of water. And so we're basically going to keep that same sheet flow design with the new addition. However, where it meets the old structure and the new, that's where we want to kind of like divert that water that's in the middle, divert it to the side, and it'll just sheet flow off of that existing structure. And it will just all sheet flow towards the north.
Are there any gutters or French drains or anything to?
No, it's just a sheet flow.
And what's the foundation? You may have mentioned, I'm sorry because I can't see the really small type if it's marked or anything.
The foundation?
Yeah.
So the new foundation will be all be concrete. We might have to we might have a stem wall at the edge of the footers, and the new construction will be a CMU.
Okay, and that's joining the other adobe walls.
Correct. That CMU is gonna butt up with the existing adobe walls. It's gonna be inset about a foot, and I mean it'll be sealed at that corner so that it's weatherproof and weather tight.
Okay, and the windows are currently what in the older part? Are they wood?
Yeah, they're actually steel windows. They're steel casement windows.
The original.
Yeah, the original, and we're proposing double hung wood
for the addition.
For all of replacing what's there and the addition as well.
But were the metal windows original?
I mean, they were there, so I'm assuming they were original, but they're intending to be replaced with new wood double hung windows because they're in a condition where it's probably going to cost more to refurbish those than just replace it with a simple wood double hung window.
Jody, is that an issue?
I'm sorry, please repeat that question.
Is it an issue to replace the current metal windows with wood windows?
It does appear that so when Barrio was looking at this, they were pretty adamant that the metal windows were not original to the construction, and were actually recommending that they replace to the wood windows. I guess it could go either way. You're keeping them as they are now, speaking to the modifications, or you can go back to a wood window. There's no real documentation of what the original wood window would have been. The bulk of the wood windows, I would say, that are used in Barrio tend to be double hung versus like a casement window or something like that. You don't know if the light pattern, what that was, but I mean, they're keeping it pretty simple, the 1/1. So they're not doing any kind of divided light pattern. But I guess it could go either way. But Barrio was, I would say, pushing for them to put the wood in versus the metal.
Okay, and is that noted on the plans that they will be replaced with wood and all that?
Yeah, it's actually let me zoom in here a little bit. Sorry about that. So right here on the elevation, I have a note that it says existing steel casement windows to be removed, and then on the other elevation, which is the new one proposed, I have new wood double hung windows, but I could call it out on the plan as well.
I think that might be appropriate. I mean, I don't know what the rest of the commissioners think.
Okay.
So, okay, those are my questions. Other commissioners, who wants to start?
In looking at this, I has there been sort of an engineer review this for the drainage issues? Because the way those roof lines are, it looks like there's really a potential for the water, especially you're using two different types of materials, the water to drain down between those walls, and the adobe will be the structure that's going to be impacted, you know, where the two join there on the roof line.
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with all the systems and how they work. Some of the architects, I guess, on the commission would maybe have some more comment with that, but that just kind of is a little concerning. And then the, as far as the windows, I think the wood would be fine. But I wondered about the new metal gate. Is that going to attach into the adobe, or is there going to be a freestanding post there that will?
No, there's an existing freestanding post already there.
Okay, great. That, yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those were my only questions.
Okay, thank you. Ricky?
Can you hear me okay? Oh, no. Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't have any questions other than what I'm sure Savannah's going to address with the architecture that Carol just brought up. I do have to go, though.
Okay, so you're going to leave at 1:47. Okay, if you'll note that, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Savannah?
Yeah, I was going to bring up the roof too. Thanks, Carol. I think it's an issue. And I think, you know, what the roof used to have the full width of the building to shed water. And now you're relying on these two 1 foot spaces on either end. It's going to be a lot of water pushing into your new structure. So gutter, downspout, something to get the water away from the existing and to protect the new too, right? Like it needs to be addressed. I don't see where the water is going for the new structure either. If there's a downspout or scupper or what, looks to be a parapet, but I can't quite tell. But yeah, water is not a good mix with stucco, so try to get it away from the walls. And then my other question was, I just missed is the door being replaced? Saw that if you could speak to that a little bit too.
Are you talking about the front metal gate?
It's a gate. Okay. There's not a front door.
Yeah, there's a front. Yeah, there's a front. The front entry door is just going to be replaced with the solid natural wood door.
Yeah, currently the property has no real front door. It has a steel security door, but it doesn't have an actual front door.
Okay. Would we want a minor review for that door?
I guess, do we know anything about what it was originally? Was it always just a wood door?
Here, I have a picture of it. No, it's what Roberto said. It was just a metal screen door that was there before.
Are you going to show the door?
Yeah, let me see here real quick.
The proposed door. And do you have a picture of it, what it looked like before?
Yeah, 1 second. So, as you can see in this picture, it was just that black metal door, metal screen door that you can see there. Are you able to see it? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
And do you have a picture of the proposed new door?
Yes, I have a picture. Actually, no, it's not this one. I have to dig here for it, but we did provide the specs for the windows that we're gonna install there for all the double hung windows and that new wood door.
Okay, if you don't have it, we have a couple options. I mean, Jody could look at it, or we could have a minor review, because we often do on doors. We've done that most recently a few weeks ago. Ask for a minor review on the door if it changes, but we don't really know what the door looks like, the new one. What does everyone think?
Yeah, minor review sounds fine.
Yeah, sounds fine to me too. Do we, I
All
guess
right,
I have a question too on the.
I found the door that we're gonna use.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let me just share my screen here real quick. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in. My computer's acting a little bit slow. It's this one right here.
So a 2-panel door.
Yes, 2-panel door.
Great, thanks for that. So that'll get submitted. You're submitting or getting on the plans in the
it should go on the
next
plan.
version.
Okay.
All right, and then I had a question about the window at the east elevation too. It looks like there's like an awning or.
Oh, that's existing. Here, let me bring up some.
That'll be preserved.
Yeah, that'll be preserved. So you can kind of see it on this picture towards the left.
Is that the one you were talking about, Savannah?
Yeah. I saw it on the plans, but it wasn't noted.
As existing?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I could kind of tell, but it would just be nice, if you're talking about restoring and preservation, that the plans are specific about all the elements we want to keep, right? That we want to ensure we don't get lost, right?
Right.
So is that like what is that pipe and chimney?
So no, that I don't think that was a chimney. It was that right there is the bathroom window. So I don't know what was that, what they were intending to use that pipe for.
But we're looking at, sorry, is the stucco portion of what we see, that's what's there now that we have? Or that's all gone?
This is all gone. So part of this, that chimney stack that you're talking about is all gone. So at that line is what's existing actually.
I believe these pictures were from previous listings that we dug up originally to start with the drawings, but a lot of that stuff was already down when we got it.
So Savannah, if you see here on the demo plan, that window, you can see that small window is a few feet from what's actually existing right now.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
So yeah, so basically all of that got torn down. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I would just make special note of that feature above the window, that it's to be preserved and protected during construction.
Okay, is that it, Savannah?
I think so. For now, yeah.
Yeah, Jan, what about you?
You may have covered it. I don't recall, but the only other question I had was regarding the stucco, and if you were differentiating between the existing and the new part of the structure in terms of surface treatment, or how you were differentiating.
Yeah, so for the existing stucco, we're intending to preserve that existing swirl course stucco, just patch it and repair as necessary, and match, trying to match that existing composition and texture as closely as possible. And then for the new addition, we are intending to stucco over the CMU with the sand floated stucco.
So a smoother texture then on the.
Right. It won't be as coarse as the existing one.
Right. Okay.
Kind of differentiating, the old and the new.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just reiterate the concern about drainage. And I don't know, Jody, if that's something that's caught as part of the normal review as it goes through plans review, that somebody can ensure that that's adequate, or if we require some sort of special review, because that does seem like a potential problem long term.
It should be something that's caught when they go through the residential review, how it's going to drain and everything like that. But I can also, when it gets submitted, make sure that is something that they're paying close attention to.
Can we mention it in our motion?
Sure.
Okay. Jan, anything else?
No, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, so is there someone that's willing to summarize and then make a motion? I think we covered we asked everyone if they had questions, right?
Sorry, I just have one more regarding the porch structure. Is there any work to that? That'll be preserved too, right?
Yeah, that'll just stay intact. Probably just get a new paint, but other than that.
Jose, quick question. Didn't we have gutters on the sides for the water diversion?
We did have a previous design where we had like a cricket gutter design that that brought the water down on those sides, but they were concerned about we're definitely going to be able to see that downspout from the 18th Street. So that's when we introduced this new roof of just keeping this sheet flow as it was.
Yeah, I mean, plans review will have you submit with a roof plan and a drainage calc and everything, and then showing where that water goes and the quantity of it for Tucson annual rainfall. So they'll catch all that, but time to think about it.
Okay.
We actually spoke to the neighbor to the north of us, and they had a similar issue because there was no real drainage plan to there. So yeah, we'll make sure we get our engineer on that.
Okay, so who would like to summarize what might go in a motion?
I can give it a shot. Okay, yeah, so a note about paying close attention to the concern about the drainage. My note was to make sure the plans demonstrate everything that is preserved, the ramada, the awning. What else?
And that also includes sort of being clear on the plans about existing and what's to be replaced and removed.
Right, yeah, just clarification, yeah.
And that we don't have an issue replacing the existing windows, existing metal windows with wood. Is it 1/1?
I'm fine with it if you guys are.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Carol or Jan? And maybe then Savannah can make the motion, and Carol?
This is Jan. My only clarification, maybe you just mentioned, and I know it's what we're all talking about, attention to drainage, that we just say roof drainage.
Yeah, I can say roof drainage now.
Yeah. Okay, Carol, anything else that you want to add to that list of items for the motion?
No, I think that's fine. They probably need to, I think they've included their wood window information and the front door. I mean, he showed us that that should be part of the whole plan when they submit it.
Yeah, that should be, yeah, and it should be included.
I think it is, but I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, Savannah, why don't you give it a shot?
And they're single hung windows, right? Or are they double hung?
Double hung.
Double hung.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, on the matter of HPZ 22-009 at 414 West 18th Street, I move to recommend approval of the project as presented, including, but making sure that the applicant pays close attention to concerns about roof drainage expressed here, that the plans are to be updated to note and clarify items to distinguish between preserved and removed, and that we approve replacement of the existing windows with wood double hung, as well as the new 2-panel wood door.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second. This is Carol.
Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, if not, let's go ahead and vote. I'll vote aye on the motion. Savannah?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Okay, it passes 4-0. And Jody, do you want to note what the rest of the steps are here? So there's
Yes.
no confusion.
So you'll have to revise we'll formalize the minutes, and then we will issue a decision letter that will be signed by the Director of Planning and Development Services or the Deputy Director. And that will be sent out to you. There's a 14-day appeal period from the date of that letter. The appeal could be lodged by a party of record, which is you, the applicant, Plans Review Subcommittee, or Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board. And if an appeal is issued, then it goes to Mayor and Council to decide. If there is no appeal, then after the 14-day appeal period, you can resubmit your plans, revised plans per the conditions of the decision letter, with a copy of the decision letter, and they will continue through the permitting process and get issued. Robert, did you have any questions?
I do not, thank you so much. But by the way, we didn't realize or appreciate the process this involved, so I thank everybody involved. Jody and Michael have been great so far, and thank you guys for your help.
Sure, well, thank you very much, and good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on then to item 3C, which is HPZ 22019 at 136 West Simpson Street. This is for remodeling, addition, and shade structure. It's a full review. It's also in the Barrio Historic Preservation Zone, contributing resource using the rehabilitation standards. And staff, could you give an update or give an introduction, please?
Sure. This project was also heard at the April 21st and was continued to the May 9th meeting for Barrio Historico. Barrio had some concerns about the proposed addition and how it was going to attach, and some minor things, some differentiation things. And they had concerns as it was originally presented. It was a detached shade structure in the back that had a spiral staircase to access the roof of the detached shade structure for a, second story. So they had some concerns about that. And when they came back on May 9th, they had eliminated the spiral stair and the second story and attached it to the house, which is consistent with how a lot of other shade structures, rear yard shade structures, are in Barrio Historico. Ultimately, it was approved as presented at the May 9th meeting with a vote of 4-0.
Okay, thank you. Let me just ask a question. Carol, when did you say you had to leave the meeting?
I need to leave at 2:30.
Okay, well, it doesn't look good then to get through the rest of the agenda. So we'll just see how far we get. Who will be presenting this case?
Bob Lanning is presenting.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Bob Lanning. The project is at 136 West Simpson. You've probably all seen the building. It's one of the few bungalows in the middle of the barrio, but there it is. It was built sometime between 1909 and 1919. And our project, so our clients we'd like to do a few things on the interior, but for purposes of this meeting, we're focusing on the exterior. So here's the project right there in terms of the assessor's map. It's just slightly west of Convent, between Convent and Meyer on the south side of the street on Simpson Street. Maybe you've already looked at all these. If you have, just I can speed up if you want me to. Here's the aerial photograph of the development zone. So you can see that most of the structures in the development zone are contributing, and that shows up here. And then here are contributing structures in the development zone. They mostly happen to be Sonoran row houses or transformed Sonoran row houses, with maybe one exception on the bottom right there. But nonetheless, what we have is a bungalow, and it is the front of it is right here. And so basically, our clients came to us with, on the exterior, for purposes of discussion today, we have kind of three major items that we'll talk about. One is a bathroom addition. The second is a porch at the rear. And the third is really not a major item, but there are several minor items that we can also talk about as well. And those are things like site walls and a freestanding fireplace. Here's the site plan. You can see on the house, classic bungalow, sitting in the middle of the parcel. It's kind of got equal setbacks all the way around, which is kind of unusual. So, but it did give us an opportunity, we thought, to do a nice addition for a bathroom. So the first thing is a bathroom, and that's on the west side of the building, towards a little bit more towards the rear than the front. And that is literally a bathroom addition where we're centering the addition between a couple of existing windows. And we are trying to make it so it feels like it is part of the original structure, mostly, but not 100%. And so let's go to let's go to the other drawings right there. These are our revised drawings. Then the second part of our project is at the rear, which is towards the bottom of this drawing, which is a new porch. And we'll look at those elevations as well in a second here. But yeah, and then we've got we'll talk about the third items later. So here's the floor plan. Want to go to, let's just go to the elevations. So here's the front elevation at the top right, the existing one, and here's the front elevation at just below that. The only difference is the addition off to the west of the bathroom. And we decided to have the bathroom be constructed out of concrete block plastered. Now that will differentiate it from the exposed red brick, which is elsewhere in the original residence. But that's part of what we have. One of our challenges always is to how much to make it feel like it's compatible and how much to differentiate it from the existing original structure so as not to create a false sense of history. So what we've done is we have created a plastered addition, but we have decided to have the roof just be extruded, the hip roof, a hip roof extension over this plastered rectangular bathroom addition. There are 2 windows in it. They're both, they both would be wood hung windows, a small one on facing to the north. You won't really see that too much from the street because it's well situated back. And also there's significant vegetation in there. And there's also a kind of a curved front wall that will block the view of it. Then facing west towards the side yard is the elevation of that at the bottom there where the cursor is circling is the other elevation of that bathroom addition. And you can see we've set it up so it's centered between a couple of existing windows. We've got a window, a double hung window, a 3050 hung window, a wood hung window centered in that elevation. There's a few details that we decided one way or another on. Like, for example, there's a brick plinth that kind of happens right at windowsill level around the entire building. And we decided to go ahead and have that be depicted in the addition, but it would be a stuccoed, kind of a pop out feature that would line up with the existing. Then because it's a block building or a block addition, we won't have a weak screed to contend with. So it would be plaster all the way down to grade, even below the floor and over the stem wall. The other thing that I should mention about this addition is we were reminded that we need to be careful about the addition so as to set it up so that we're not touching the existing brick in a significant way. And so we're proposing that we build this block addition with some kind of felt strips or some kind of separation element between the addition and the addition walls and the walls of the brick building. So that in theory, I guess, if you actually were to at a later point remove the addition, you would not be damaging significantly the existing brick structure. So that's pretty much it for that addition. Now on the same elevation, if you look over on the right-hand side of it, you can see the rear porch that we are proposing. And the rear porch.
Is that listed as the shade structure, Bob, on the?
Yeah, it's a shade structure, or I guess maybe it's better to be called a shade structure.
It was detached originally, and it had a roof deck on it. But after going through the Barrio Viejo board, the roof deck was deemed not compatible, and it was also recommended that the porch or the shade structure be attached as a porch.
Okay.
That was more consistent with the way things develop in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And so that's what you're looking at here in plan. It would be basically a series of joists sloped away from the existing building. And they would be bearing onto a wood beam, and the beam is bearing on a couple of concrete block columns that are plastered, and those block columns have brick caps. We just wanted to do a little bit of brickwork to, you can kind of see it here, to tie in ever so slightly with the existing brickwork. One other thing to mention is where we are placing this porch at the rear is exactly over a frame, and the one frame and stucco part of the existing residence. We actually believe that it was formerly, some time ago, not in any recent history, it was probably a rear porch, and then it got filled in with frame and stucco, and then these two windows and that single door. And we are proposing to remove those two windows and that door at the rear of the structure and replace those with a pair of 10 light French doors. And those are depicted right in this drawing right here. So those doors come from the kitchen straight out onto this shade structure. And then the last thing is at the bottom here, you can see we're proposing a plastered site wall and also a freestanding fireplace element with a chimney element, and that's at the southern property line of the parcel. And so that's part of, right now there's a chain link fence there, so we're just trying to kind of button up this this rear yard and create a sense of privacy.
So, and that's on the rear of the building, correct?
Yeah, that's on the rear of the building, or that's at the rear of the parcel. That's right.
And so the barrio had nothing to say about those French doors?
No, they did not.
Okay. So ready for us to ask other questions?
I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I can suggest that I haven't thought of, but I guess I am ready. I guess that's fairly quick, as best as I can make it quick.
Okay, who would like to start?
I had, my question had to do with the removal of the back door and the two windows to put in the French door. Do you have any documentation at all that that was an addition that was made later, and when? Or do you think that was part of the original house at one point? I mean, obviously it was at one point, but I mean early on.
Well, the only reason that I think that it was a porch, I don't know when it was enclosed. So, but I do think it was a porch because the brick walls, you can kind of see in this plan, they turn inward and they kind of carve out a rectangle in the sort of the south east corner of the structure. And everything outside of that is framed. And just my gut from my years of experience are that that was a porch that at some point was filled in. It's the only plastered frame walls on the exterior of the building. And so, but as far as the date on that, I just don't know. I mean, I suppose there's a chance when we open up these walls, we could discover things that would tell the date of it. I just don't know. I've been on projects where newspaper was stuffed in there and it had 1960 something or 70 something on it. You know, but I just don't know.
Sorry, it looks like there's like a door and a window within that, I guess the original perimeter within the port, or what we think is a porch. Or what happens to those? Did those look original?
On the front or at the rear?
At the rear, where if we're assuming it was a porch, it looks like there's a window that's removed and a door that gets both of it get infilled.
Yeah, we're removing these two windows right here and this door right here.
No, sorry. If you go to the demo plan, it's items like 9 and 7 in that area.
Yeah, hold on one second, sorry.
Yeah, is that by chance? I mean, is that an original window there?
I think that it is. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, existing window and masonry wall to be removed or abandoned in place. Yeah, because it goes into that bathroom right there. But we're leaning towards abandoning in place so that it could, in theory, in the future be, uncovered and reused, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it clues me into thinking, I think you're right, that was an exterior wall, right? I mean, all the evidence seems to be there.
Yeah.
So to pop in on this, I was looking up the Sanborn maps in 49, which is what I have online to the latest. It still shows up as a porch area. So it was enclosed sometime after 49.
Thank you, Jody. And also Savannah, that does provide some evidence that that was closed in later. It was a porch.
And it wouldn't be within it would have not been enclosed within the period of significance, correct? If it was 47 for the barrio.
Are you asking us?
Jody, I'm asking Jody. She'll know more quickly.
Don't be too sure. I'm trying to think. Their period of significance is kind of early. I'm guessing it probably was enclosed outside of their period of significance. I keep getting confused with Armory Park on their period of significance. You'll have to give me a minute to look it up.
Okay, let's go ahead with other questions because we're down to 9 minutes. And I was chatting with you, Carol, but I didn't know, is it absolutely a hard stop with you at 2:30?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay, so if, yeah. So it looks like, you know, after this case, if we get through it, then the next case we won't be able to do anything except, Jody, don't forget, we do have that special meeting. Is it June 2nd or 1st? I forget. What did we decide, group?
I believe it was the 2nd.
Yeah, and so at 1 o'clock, and you were going to send out a message, but I really hesitate to put cases on there because we have to get through that other business. So maybe we could talk after this if we lose a quorum. So we won't be able to talk about 3D, 4, 5, 6, or 7. So, okay, did you find it out or?
1950, I'm going with. But yeah.
Pretty close. Yeah.
It's pretty close. And that was the only, I mean, I just am looking at online, so I haven't pulled out the books to look further about when that was enclosed.
Well, do you have issues? Let's say that it was within the period of significance. Would you have issues with the what they're proposing?
No, because it's already been kind of modified. It's already been jacked around with.
Yeah, okay. What do folks think of that unusual thing off the back wall? You okay with it? Yes, no?
You mean the fireplace?
Yeah. Everyone's fine with it?
I'm fine with it.
Am I fine with it? You're not going to see it, and it's not attached to the house. It's in the, yes.
Okay, Jan, do you have questions?
There's kind of a smaller existing, I guess they're calling it a barbecue on the plans, but there's something similar in the wall, I think, a little further east right now. But I only had a couple questions. I think one has to do with the bathroom addition and your comments about preserving the existing brick. And so what it looks like you're doing is you're essentially using that existing door for access. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
As a passage, so to minimize that, okay. And then just a point of clarification, at least the plans we were reviewing had the detached shade structure and the spiral staircase. And so I think there's some extra plans floating around in the set that we looked at. So it needs to be clarified as part of the submittal.
The ones in the HPZ materials are old, but then there was another attachment that said revised plans. And I think those are the right ones that we
Okay, well, I was just saying, I don't think those should be going in as part of their plan set, the ones we originally had with
they were originally reviewed by Barrio Historico, and it had their full packet with the plans, and then Barrio asked them to revise, which is why I didn't parse out their stuff. So their revised plans are the revised plans. Okay, but typically when they're submitting for the project, they don't have all the other paperwork with the pictures and the text and stuff like that. So it would just be the plans, the revised plans.
Right, so the old plans are, yeah, that we saw are not part of the package. That I was just trying to clarify because that's what I thought we had. And so thank you. And I don't think I have anything else.
Okay, do we want to summarize any issues we have for a motion? So we can make it before we lose the quorum?
I don't have any issues. I think you guys done a nice job. I just had a question about the door into the bathroom. You're replacing the door, but what happened? I noticed there's like a little arch transom. Can that remain? What happens to that?
Well, in an effort to preserve the brick, we're building a fur out that will ultimately cover up.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, protect all that brickwork, including that segmented arch above the doorway. And so, yeah, so I mean, you're not going to see that. The addition will essentially be covering that up.
But you'd see it from the bedroom, right?
In the inside of the bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say on the inside, I think the walls are plastered. The brickwork isn't really exposed on the inside. So you know, even now you don't really get to see that.
The transom though, can you see that?
Oh, the transom? Yeah, I guess that would stay, right, Bob? I guess it does, yeah. We haven't got that far. Yeah, but I mean, it is on the inside there. We'll have to figure that out.
That's good. I appreciate the effort to kind of keep the brick intact and a sensitive addition. So no issues.
Yeah, actually, I think our ceiling height will be plenty high to keep that transom. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we'll keep that.
Good. Okay, so who will do a motion?
Okay, I will, in the matter of 22-016,
No,
136. Oh, I'm sorry. 136 West Simpson Street. I move that we approve as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second, Jan.
Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call roll. I vote aye in the motion. Carol?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Savannah?
Aye.
Right, the motion carries 4-0. And so I'm sure that Bob, you and your colleague know the drill from here on.
Yes, it's Stephen Kirky, by the way. I'm sorry I did not introduce him.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Stephen Curdy, at your service.
Okay, and how do you spell your name?
C-U-R-T-I.
And how do you spell Stephen?
With a P-H.
Thank you, because we'd want to say that you were presenters. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Jody and Michael, do you want to stay on after we lose our quorum so we can discuss what we're going to do?
Will do.
And so I'm sorry. So Bob, is your case the next one? Bob Vint?
I'm here with my assistant Christian Sanchez and
yeah, no, Bob, but we can't do it because we're going to lose a quorum.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm very sorry about that, but it's a lot.
I'm sorry too. I had to reschedule something, and I'm sorry. It's some.
Sure, no, I understand. It's
okay. So, Jody or Michael will get back to you as soon as we, you know, as they're able to reschedule, but it won't be that long.
Okay. All right. Thanks. But nice to see all you guys.
Yeah. Take care. So should we just end the meeting now, Jody and Michael, or because Carol has got to leave? Carol, are you leaving now? Yes, Carol's leaving now.
Yeah, so if she's gone, then you might as well adjourn the meeting because she's gone.
Yeah, so meeting adjourned at 2:30. And then you can stop the recording and then maybe we can just stay on and talk about what we're going to do. But we can't have a quorum.